lovely mic runners today. Marina's right there. Marina, raise your hand. Marina, Tommy. Woo! All right, so if you would like to share your reason for being here today, your story, we will just raise your hand and we'll call you out and we'll have Marina or Tommy walk your way. Does that make sense? Wonderful. So I'd like to first start off with Aurelio Anderson. He would like to share why. Where did he go? Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And then we're going to hear from Anna. Okay,
Go Anna.
and then we'll open it up to everyone else. All right. Thank you, Aurelio. Thank you, Anna.
Test, test. Test, test. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Hello? Ah! There we go.
Woo!
Alright. I figured it out. So, whenever I was asked why I'm here, I thought more about if I weren't here, why would I not be here? That's a terrible way to phrase that, but you get my point. That I have multiple reasons to be here. Starting one, I was born in Haiti, off of a small island off the mainland. I guess somebody else was also born in Haiti. One person. You mind standing real quick? If anyone has any ties to Haiti whatsoever. Yeah, there's one. There's two, okay. Anybody on this side? No? Okay, that's fine. But if you do know about Haiti, you know that we are the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. You know that we get really no luck whatsoever with natural disasters, and it's awful. And I moved to this country when I was very small. My father came from the United States and met my mom, and I guess one thing led to another, and I came here. So I always like to tell people I'm one white dad away from being a dreamer. I mean, it's true. It's true. Now that being said, I have many relatives who are dreamers, and my grandfather was applying for citizenship when I was in middle school. By the time I was graduating high school, he finally became a legal U.S. citizen. And it was not an easy road for him. Everyone knows it's not an easy road for anyone. Honestly, that was a pretty short waiting time, relatively speaking. So, you know, I see firsthand what my family goes through trying to live in this country and trying to make a working life for themselves and their family. And it's not easy at all. My uncle is a farm worker in upstate New York. He actually broke his arm falling from a tree picking apples, and he couldn't get any kind of health care, didn't get any kind of treatment because he wasn't a legal U.S. citizen. And so I see that Congress has not done anything about immigration in over 30 years. What they've done about immigration is throw more security at the border. You know what that's called? It's called putting a poster over the hole in the wall. That's not addressing the root problem. And that's the main reason I'm here, because I feel like we haven't addressed the root problem of immigration in a very long time. And there's no time like now to do it.
En Washington DC en un entrenamiento para abogar por inmigración.
Hello. Okay. Hi, my name is Anna. The reason that I'm here this weekend is I am the daughter of an immigrant. My partner is the son of immigrants, and we literally would not be here if it were not for the dreaming spirit, the spirit to strive for a better, brighter future. I was also raised in the Presbyterian Church, so I grew up singing a hymn called "Lord, Prepare Me to Be a Sanctuary." And that's
Yes.
what we do as people of faith and as advocates. We are sanctuaries for the least, the last, and the lost.
Yes.
It says it on the Statue of Liberty. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses. You're going to breathe free. That's why we're here.
Yes.
That's why I'm here, and I'm so glad that you all are here, and I really am loving hearing all your stories. So thank you for sharing them.
All right, so we're gonna, there's so much knowledge and stories and stuff in this room, and I think we want to hear from that. So if you would like to volunteer, I will acknowledge you on the stage, and I will acknowledge this person right here and the fantastic blazer. We have to decide who's fantastic blazer with us.
Thank you, Katie. One, I just wanted to really just validate and uplift all the dreamers in the room. I heard so many gratifying stories a few minutes ago, and it's really touching, and it just really reminded me how important this work is. And often I take for granted like how connected my experience as an African American is connected to the issue of immigration. And just as the gentleman was saying, the root problem, it is things like racism and white supremacy that are fueling these issues. They're the reason why we are here right now. They are the reason why people are not given the benefit that they deserve, because they are being told that you look a certain way. We think something about you. So yes, this work is important, and it really takes speaking up and fighting against the root problem to really change this issue. So,
Could we get Tommy over here for the person raising their hand in the back with the watch, I think? Yeah. And then, well, yeah, we can just get both of you. And then we'll...
All right. Again, it's me, Jamila, GMWE Law from Las Vegas. So in our group, I shared why I was here, and I care for immigration. And personally, I have testimony of both my grandpa and my great uncle migrated here from Trinidad and Tobago to America. And things happen anywhere, and you get wrapped up in some stuff. And my uncle got wrapped up in some stuff he wasn't supposed to be doing, and he got arrested. And when you get arrested, we have mandatory minimums for drug crimes, and so his mandatory minimum was 10 years, and you have to serve at least 80% of your sentence. And so he was supposed to at least get 8 years incarcerated. Instead, he served 12 years incarcerated, and due to his incarceration, he was in the country doing labor, and so after 12 years, he was released, and instead of being able to go back to his family and his kids, he got deported to Trinidad, and he could never come back. And so I just really care about immigration, especially criminality and immigration, because that happens to a lot of folks, that you get arrested and you're stuck in this incarcerated state working, and you're still going to get deported. You don't get reintegrated back into society. You don't get to redeem yourself. So I feel like it's really important that we do push forward and make sure that people are getting accurate representation, as well as making sure that they are able to get abilities to be reintegrated into society. So now I'm going to pass it on to my friend.
Hi everyone, my name is Courtney Jones. I'm here from Las Vegas along with all these wonderful people from UNLV, NAACP, and UNLV. So I guess earlier kind of what I shared with my group was that one of the reasons I think we're here, even though the cause we're fighting for may be Black Lives Matter, we do a lot of things on campus that involve like intersecting identities and things of that nature. And so lobbying on something about immigration is really important to us because these are people's livelihoods, right? We really want to make sure that we're actually out in the community and advocating for not only us but everyone. We want to make sure that we're advocating for things that are really affecting, especially in Las Vegas. We have one of the highest undocumented rates right now, and that's like really, something that hits close to home. And we still work with things with organizations on campus like Undocumented Network, which is really awesome. And just like down the street, we're lobbying also for reproductive justice. So just making sure that we're out in the community and we're doing things that have that involve people that might be in our organization
yeah.
Any orange hat?
Yes.
Let's have someone else hold your thing.
Yeah, here you go. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Julio Acosta. I'm a volunteer with Faith in Texas, and I'm here with the people from Texas, from Dallas, Texas. And one, we're doing everything we can to fight against SB4 in Texas. Two, I was born in Mexico. I moved here when I was 2. My dad became a resident and citizen in 1986 through the amnesties, and because of him, my mom and I are a citizen, and my sister was born in Dallas. And I'm here because I want 100% of the population in the United States to have one of these in their wallets, a Know Your Rights card in their wallet. And this little thing that I made, it has a link so they can download for free this 20-page packet that Clinic made. And it tells them what to do in their home, in the car, in a public space, in a jail, in a detention center. It has a lot of other information. Sorry, my voice is crashing up. So I just want 100% of the population in the nation to know that they have rights, constitutional rights, and then to know that after they hand them the card that in English explains to them their rights, that they do have to remain silent, and that they only have to talk to their immigration lawyer. But we can talk about this later. But that's why I'm here, because I want 100% of the people in the United States to have this in their wallets, so when they need it, they can reach for it carefully. Obviously, I always tell people don't make brash, harsh movements in front of like ICE or police. But anyway, so sorry, that's why I'm here. I'm not a good public speaker. I'm not a good public speaker.
So on this side, can we get the person in the glasses? Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Lev. I'm from Philadelphia. I'm here with Haverford. And the reason that I'm here and answering the question, why do people or why do dreamers have the right to citizenship and to be a part of this country fully, really has to do with thinking about things in a historical approach, given how much the U.S. has destabilized and exploited economically. A whole bunch of different caused suffering outside of itself for the benefit of the most privileged members of its society. And then considering that, and considering the fact that how can we, I guess, promote an ideology that promotes the right to safety, the pursuit of happiness, the pursuit of a future, things that are very human and very equal, apply to everyone, and then not extend those same desires and dreams to the people that contribute in this space, that live in this space to find a better life. That those kinds of pursuits are universal, and the fact that this country excludes them because of a lack of documentation and methods that wouldn't be approved by government is pretty horrific. So that's why I'm here. I'm here to fight for that.
There's some more people. My friend in the back from the FSC. You want to say that? Are you all from the FSC?
Yeah, we're all from the FSC.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Neil?
Hello guys, I am João Paulo Silva. Everybody calls me JP. Nobody can pronounce my name, it's alright. I am proudly a DACA recipient, and I I came to this country when I was 7 years old, and since then, until I was basically my freshman year of high school, I didn't really know that I was illegal. I didn't really know that I couldn't really drive. I didn't really know all these things. Even though my dad had to go out of his way to get a driver's license, we still didn't live in fear. But as Obama passed DACA, that basically changed my life because I was able to go to college, which I did. I graduated from a community college, which is like what I was able to afford at the time. And New Jersey, which is where I'm from, we are now going to, well, hopefully, pass a law which will allow the students, the undocumented students, to get financial aid. So I was actually there myself for the voting for that. And the committee passed it, now it has to be passed again. And then if the governor passes it, we will be able to get it, which will be amazing. So I work for AFSC. It is called the American Friends Service Committee. I just started interning there as a DACA organizing intern. And it's an amazing job because my first week there, I was able to organize a march that was held in 6 different cities in New Jersey. And we marched for DACA. The one that I was able to go to in Newark, we had about 150 people show up. The counselor from our schools showed up. The mayor actually had a speech too. Other people were able to show up. So it was really nice. And being here right now is a lot for me because basically I'm able to represent my friends and other DACA recipients. So it's basically amazing to be here. Thank you guys.
I just want to apologize beforehand if I do start crying, I'm sorry. But I am also a DACA recipient. I came here at the age of 5 and I've been living in New Jersey since then. Pretty much, I never really understood the concept of being undocumented. I never understood the barriers that came with it. Until I started applying to college, I realized that I couldn't receive financial assistance from the government, and that really pushed me back in pursuing my dreams and aspirations. I ended up going to community college because the college was willing to pay for my tuition, and living with a family that only makes less than $30,000 a year. I'm grateful for the college for paying for me, because I can't afford anything else. My family can't afford anything else. The government itself doesn't want to provide me assistance, even though I've been working endlessly to pursue my aspiration. I graduated like number 3 in my class for high school. And now that I'm in college, I am in the honors program. I started my own organization, We the Dreamers, that helps the undocumented community in Newark, New Jersey to continue their education, because as of right now, high school seniors who graduate who are undocumented, only 10% attend college, and only of those 10%, 2% graduate college, which is really, really heartbreaking because it's economically inaccessible for them to finish college. And we are trying to change that because everybody, regardless of legal status, deserves to pursue their dreams. Everybody's a human being. Everybody is worthy enough to have those dreams. And it's important that we let Congress know that these are real people. These are real stories that are happening right now. These are our friends, our families, our sisters, brothers. And we're willing to do everything in our power as as we are right now, collectively pushing for a Clean Dream Act, one that doesn't dehumanize our parents. We might be protected from deportation, but I don't want my family to be taken away from me. I don't want to wake up one day and not have my family with me. I want everybody who is a dreamer to not live in fear anymore, because we don't deserve that. We came to this country to work. We came for a better future and education. We didn't came here to steal jobs. We didn't came here to steal anything, to be criminals. We came here because where we're from, there's only violence, there's only threats, there's only poverty, and there was nothing for us there. So we came to this country because we want to make something of ourselves, and we should have the right to do that. Thank you.
Right on. Nigerian, but I love Haiti. Best people out there. So I'm here because I realized, so I came to the US for college, and I realized after a couple of years that I have lived life not realizing the microaggressions against Black people, African people, people from certain countries. And you know when people say things and you don't really identify, but then you identify, like they're talking about you, but you don't even know that. So with immigration, for example, when the Trump administration started talking about chain migration, using that term, you know, very terrible term, and I was just there, you know, I'm like, why would he talk about families like that? That is terrible. And then I sat down and I'm like, I'm actually going through this. My elder brother can't come to the US because of that policy where he was above 21 when we were able to come and get our green cards. It didn't occur to me then during the conversation then, I didn't realize that, yeah, I just sort of skirted over it. I was like, oh no, don't talk about other people that way, that's terrible. I was going through that. Talking about like immigration and walking across borders, you don't realize how hard it is till you have a passport that doesn't get you anywhere sometimes. The Nigerian passport is a liability. We love Nigeria, but so many places you go to, you bring out that green passport and it's like there's a taint on you automatically. And then I just started thinking like, it makes sense that those who created the borders and created walls would decide who gets to cross those walls. And they would choose people of their own color to cross those walls, because a lot of the strongest passport in the world is not of a Central American state or an African state or anywhere below the equator. It's a German passport or an American passport or a British passport. These walls were created, and the right to pass and to cross them is being given to certain people, and that's something that we're fighting against.
Yes.
We're fighting against the walls that were created between us. Families have been separated for various reasons. A lot of communities from African nations have never lived with, like in the past, families always lived together. We lived grand families, extended families. And now we have families in the North Pole. I don't know what Nigerians are doing in the North Pole. But just because we're fleeing systems that were not helping us, and that we're being supported by America and the UK, and these powerhouses, so to speak. And so people are trying to be better and trying to look for better. And just it's sort of like telling you have to be better. Think of yourself by your bootstraps. So we're not here. Go tie your bootstraps somewhere else, with someone else. We don't want you to do it here, but we'd advise you go do it. It's sort of, at that point in time, while you're also going through an emotional sense of, I can't even strive to be better, you're looking at the person like, are you serious right now? Like, are you listening to yourself? And I think that's what we've been going through this entire 1 year plus of this administration, where you're like, are you kidding me? That's all. Every day it's like, are you kidding me? And it's one new thing after the other, but these are lives that we're talking about. And so I think we definitely have to talk about that, where, why do certain countries not have the right to come here? Why do we do it that way? Immigration wasn't criminalized all the time. It was not that way for the longest time, and then it started targeting a certain people. Because as I was sharing, it was like, you can't come here because you look that way. And we've set up a system where we've been hating people of color before. So if we tell you to come in here, we need to stick to, if we're gonna hate people, we need to hate everybody. That sort of narrative. That's what the US is doing now, because immigration is a Black issue. It's an anti-color issue. And so if we've set up a system and a country that doesn't like Black people, how can we allow everybody else in? Like, we already did this. Like, y'all know what we've been doing, so why are you here? Like, we're trying to propagate that image and that propaganda that has moved on, and we've been trying to break. So I love when I see the African American community and the immigrant community come together, because they try to tear us apart. The state of the union, we're a Black family to criminalize the El Salvadorians, and we're just looking and we're like, how would you do that? That is the lowest of the low. And that is what white supremacy has done to these communities in the past, turning people against them. So I think it's really important for us to just realize that just because you were born in a certain climate, certain weather, doesn't make you any better. And our advocacy core person really made a strong point that resonated with me, where she was like, we keep talking about, they contribute to society. What do I contribute to society? I watch Netflix like 12 hours. But someone Like how many days a year? What is he contributing to society? So I think sometimes if empathizing is what is going to get you to move your feet and act, then find yourself in the story. Or find someone who's in that story that looks like you, who's that, like you said, the student. For me, education was the first reason I left Nigeria. I was like, I'm not doing this with this educational system. It's not working for me. I'm going to go somewhere else and find that. But then to find out that somebody else can't do that because of certain barriers, and they can't advance themselves, and they can't dream as big. It's disheartening. I can't sleep at night knowing that that happens. And so I hope we're all here today to make sure that we're also dreamers.
Yes.
We're all dreamers, and not in the way Trump used it on his State of the Union. That was just, he felt clever, it didn't really work. But we are dreamers. Like, our dreams are tied to each other. People are dreaming of incarcerated parents being free. Mass incarceration was another way to just hold back people of color. So if you're thinking about liberating everybody, we have to do it all. In the intersections.
Yes.
Everything.
Yes.
Thank my Nigerian sister for telling it. Speaking that There are a few people who've been raising their hand every time. So the person with the black hat wearing all black, then the person waving their hand back there. Please stand up. And then this person here with the glasses. We can get that cue going. Thank you. It was this person with the black hat, my bad. But we could, yeah.
Thank you. My name is Philip. I'm a graduate student from North Carolina State University.
Hey, keep right. Represent.
It's interesting to know that most of the graduate students there are international students. And these are smart people. When you talk about grad school are full of smart people. And these people learn hard, do their best to come up with a lot of projects and all that. And when they are done with school, they try applying for jobs. And they are always being asked, by the way, to need sponsorship in order to work anytime in the future in the US. Once they say yes, they are doing many of these jobs. You know, it's interesting to know how frustrated that can be. Because at that moment, you are no longer a student, and so you are not receiving stipend anymore. And if you are supposed to still pay rent, you are supposed to still eat. The question is, where do they get this money to do all this stuff? So, and I think all these things are as a result of some stringent immigration rules. I'm also a graduate student, and I don't like what my colleagues are going through. This propelled me to come here today in order to stand in their shoes, to fight in order for these immigration rules to be adjusted. Thank you.
Dr. Martin Luther King once stated, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
That's what's up. Yes. Yes.
And with that being said, hello everyone, my name is Dante Gresham. My career aspirations are to enter into politics, become a United States Senator, and run for President of the United States of America. My college educational journey at a small liberal arts college in Atlanta, Georgia called Morehouse College. Being transferred to Cleveland State University, where I sit side by side with DACA recipients and also dreamers. And I feel that they fight is my fight.
Yes.
With my aspirations being to be President of the United States, I feel that I don't want this issue to be passed down to my little brother and my nieces and my nephews. So I applaud all of you all that just came here to try to solve this issue and bring it to light in our congressional offices. So I thank you all, and I feel that just being here is basically the momentum we need.
Yes.
And right now, I'm working on a campaign to run for governor of the state of Ohio, so anybody that's in here that's from Ohio, you can see me because I have petitions so that you can sign, so that I can get I'm running as an independent candidate, so I need 5,000 signatures. And I feel that this fight will be the first fight that I try to solve in my state during my first 100 days.
Hello, everyone. My name is Fernanda. Well, first of all, that was amazing. I'm not from Ohio. I can't vote either, but I would vote for you. So if you are from Ohio, hit him up. My name is Fernanda. I go to Penn State University. I am a double major in Spanish and international relations. I am a DACA recipient. Where to begin? So I was born in Mexico, and I came to this country when I was 4 years old. And unlike some other people that have spoken, I think I've known the entire time that I was here that I didn't belong and that I wasn't welcome. All right, I felt that. I felt that to my core. Even when I was a little girl, I felt that I did not belong. So a lot of my childhood was kind of shaded by a lot of self-shame, a lot of self-hatred about who I am, the color of my skin, the language that I spoke. I was embarrassed to speak Spanish, and now I'm majoring in Spanish because I know how beautiful my language is. And how beautiful my country is. I'm from Mexico, and for the longest time, when I would have to say to people, I'm Mexican, I could sense what that word, the connotation behind the word Mexico, how people felt, or what people thought of my country that I love so much, and that is suffering through so much, and I could feel their pity, their hatred. I could feel it. And so that's why a lot of my childhood, and I'm 28 years old now, and even today I still feel shame about where I come from, about being undocumented for so much of my life. And I'm just so happy that now I know the beauty in who I am and where I come from, in my heritage, in my history. And I know that my purpose in life, that my meaning is to stand up and to talk and to say something and to speak for those who don't have the privilege that I have. I'm very aware of the privilege I have. I go to Penn State, an incredible university. I'm going to be in debt for the rest of my life, but that's okay, because I have the privilege to be in debt. I have the privilege to get student loans, and I'm so thankful for that. So I want to make sure that for the rest of my life, I stand up for those who don't have a voice, who've been marginalized by the society so systematically and so deeply. I just want to do whatever I can, and I just can't, I can't say how much it means to have all of you here and have people that actually care. For most of my life, I've been scared to even say that I'm from Mexico and that I'm undocumented. And it feels so good to be in a place where I can speak my truth and be accepted and be welcomed. So really, truly, thank you.
Indianapolis, Indiana. I am from a Hispanic Friends church on the east side of town, And I'm here because I am seeing how American citizens are being affected by this rhetoric. Last year, a family in my church was arrested at gunpoint in front of their infant children and toddler children. These kids are American citizens, but they won't be able to be raised in the United States. They are back in Honduras, they're suffering, they're getting sick. They don't have the privilege to grow up in this country. I also have a friend who was born in the United States, and she recently came back. Her parents were deported about 20 years ago. And she doesn't speak English. She doesn't know how to navigate the system of this country, even though this is her country, even though she was born in the United States and she's an American citizen. So for those American citizens that are being affected by this, I'm here to bring up that, to take into consideration that these American citizens are being affected by this. And if we want to put America first, we need to put all Americans first. Thank you.
Apparently I'm allowed to go, which is great. So, no, not my story, no, I'm allowed to go. Clarification. All right, so we went to this side of the room. Now let's see this side of the room. How about you in the back, Jasmine? And then, do we want to do Q again? Was that the whole? All right. How about this person over here? The glasses. So, yes, A. Ready? Cool.
Hey everyone. Wow, thank you everyone who's spoken, because that was really difficult for what I have to say. I'm a daughter of an immigrant. My mother was born in South Korea, and her mother fled Pyongyang, North Korea, as a child. And for so long, I'm so sick of being the freaking model minority.
It's true.
I'm so tired of people using immigrants from Asia to justify hating our neighbors, to justify being discriminated against our black friends and our brown friends, and it's erasing a past of oppression. And it's erasing our culture too. Because essentially what they're saying is that we've done a better job becoming Americans, that we somehow integrated better. And simply it's that some of us have had better opportunities and have had chances to come here legally. My mother did get to come here legally. And it doesn't take away the pain that my family has felt too. And it doesn't make it right for people to discriminate against people who came here legally. I was thinking about this the other day. When I was in the 8th grade, we went to Ellis Island. And you could look through a database. And I was not thinking about my white grandma came from England. And her family was in the Ellis Island database. But I was searching for my grandma, my Korean grandma, and I couldn't find it. And my mom was the chaperone on this trip, and I asked her, I said, why is Henry's name on here? And she said, that's because she came through the other island. And there was this sort of, you could just sort of sense that feeling of what that meant. That the other island that was not open to, that Asian immigrants came through, was not the same place as Ellis Island. It was not a place where people could come comfortably. It was a place where people went through some horrible stuff. And I still know the story of it because we just don't talk about it because it's not a simple thing. And so I just wanted to say that all of your stories I want to lift up because we're all in this together. Everyone who's come here has come here trying to find something better. My mom actually came here because her brother was going to be sent to the military because there was mandatory service, and that's why they left. And no one's success is an excuse to discriminate against someone else's. And it's not fair to generalize an entire culture. And so I just want to say know, as a Irish Korean American who grew up on the town on the east side of Los Angeles with a 70% Hispanic community, I'm freaking tired of ICE terrorizing my neighbors.
Yes.
And a sign at the last high school I went to in Los Angeles said, "The only ICE in Los Angeles is your spouse." And I stuck with that.
Hi. So my name is Daniela. I am from Houston, but I go to school in Edward Moore right outside of Philly. And I'm here because I'm a job recipient, and I have been for a while now, and that's not enough. You know, like DACA was a really great program, and I'm so fortunate because it's allowed me to go to school and to pursue a career that I'm really excited about. It's still not enough, right? Like I've lived in this country since I was 4 years old. I've pretty much only lived in the United States. And this is my home. And right now, my future isn't guaranteed here, and that's really scary. And having a program that has you basically living on a 2-year lease isn't fair, right? And I am also here because I'm not willing to accept a DREAM Act that criminalizes my family, that says that people call us dreamers, but the only reason that I'm here excelling is because of my parents. Yeah. Like they were the ones who had the courage to pursue their dream and to believe in this country enough to come here and to try to give me a better life. And so I'm not willing to accept something that will keep them from trying to get citizenship in the future. And I'm not willing to accept a DREAM Act that's going to criminalize communities along the border and that's going to put up a border between the U.S. and Mexico. Like that's not something that I'm willing to accept. And so I don't want to throw my community under the bus. And the other reason that I'm here is because last year was really hard for me. I internalized a lot of negative messages, and I thought to myself, what if what the right is saying is true? You know, like, what if I don't belong here? What if I should go back to a country that I've never known and pretty much never lived in? And it wasn't until I started doing work with the Migrant Rights Coalition at my school, and I started doing work with United We Dream, that I really understood that this is my country, right? Like, I am American in every single way but one, and I deserve to be here. And so I have the privilege of having this voice and this education and being allowed into spaces where people will listen to me, and so that's something that I should take advantage of and make use of and advocate and be an advocate for my community and the people that don't have access to these spaces. And so that's been really empowering for me, and so that's why I'm here, to learn how to do that better and to be a voice and a representative and to empower other people in my community so that they can also be voices and representatives and to stand unified.
I think we have time for just one more story. Oh, this is difficult. Could we hear? Let's see. Okay, this. How about this person with the glasses, long hair? That's you. Say that. Yeah, the one with this lip. Yeah. No. This is sorry. No, not this one. We can do both.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lindsay. I came here at the age of 9, and I'm also a DACA recipient. it's racist, it has a white supremacist agenda. The only reason why they don't want us here is because of our skin color. We know that if we were white immigrants, we wouldn't be in this situation. We would be having a more straightforward pathway to citizenship, because at this moment, I don't have a pathway for citizenship. My mom doesn't have a pathway for citizenship. My grandma doesn't have a pathway to citizenship. And I'm here for them because this administration has shown that they don't want us here. And I want to advocate not only for dreamers, but also for the families, because at this moment they're criminalizing our communities.
Yes.
My two uncles were arrested a few months ago. And the only reason why they were arrested was because one of them was driving 5 over the speed limit, and the other one had a broken taillight. One of them has already been deported, and the other one is awaiting deportation. And this is what every family faces every day.
Yes.
They're just risking driving to work or to home only to get deported, and I don't want that for my community. I don't want that for the families that are trying to stay together and provide for their families. And they're just trying to give us a better future. The only reason why my mom brought me to this country was so that we could escape violence. And I just want our senators to see that, to see our human side, because they don't see that side of us. I want that they support us as human beings and not just as economic assets or whatever it may be, because we are humans too.
I went to a preschool where I had teachers from both Pakistan and the Philippines teach us preschool songs in both Urdu and Tagalog. Could I sing any of them for you today? Yeah. No, I can't. However, that shows how immigrant populations were normalized for me from a very young age. And I didn't really realize how abnormal this experience was until I went to an extremely white, about 95% white college up in New England. And I love you, New England, but the attitudes I encountered up there were a huge shock.
Yes.
And this experience came full circle for me when I studied abroad in Berlin. Now, I was extremely privileged as a study abroad student in Berlin compared to most immigrant populations. There's no question. However, it really humanized the experience of immersing in a new land, learning the new cultures, and trying to come to grips with a culture that I was not aware of at the time. And from there, it launched my passion and interest for working with immigrants, and I've since had the privilege of working with many organizations and individuals who have not only made sure the dignity of immigrant populations is acknowledged, but that it is also upheld and honored in every corner of the United States. And I'm excited to continue doing that this weekend. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your stories. I feel so happy right now. But I wanted to take this moment to just recognize every DACA recipient and dreamer here today. If you could stand, if you feel comfortable, or if you are able, so that we can recognize you. To recognize my African brothers and sisters who are here.
Yes.
Okay. So we are going to have a speaker talking about why Quakers care about immigration reform, because as Diane mentioned earlier this morning, Fcnl is a Quaker-run lobbying organization. So we are going to hear from Bridget Moix is clerk of the Governing General Committee of the Friends Committee on National Legislation and the Executive Committee. In her day job, she is the U.S. Senior Representative and Head of Advocacy for Peace Direct. She has also worked with the Quaker United Nations Office, Oxfam America, American Friends Service Committee, and the World Policy Institute. Bridget directed the Casa de los Amigos in Mexico City, a Quaker Center of Hospitality and International Understanding from 2006 to 2008. Please welcome Bridget Moix.
Thank you so much. Wow, y'all are a hard act to follow. That was amazing. I was sitting in the back listening to your stories, and I just want to thank you for being here, and I want to thank you for bringing your hearts and your courage and your lives and your tears to Capitol Hill and Washington, D.C. right now to lobby on immigration. You're a powerful, powerful group, and I'm privileged and honored to be associated with you. The Friends Committee on National Legislation is a Quaker lobby in the public interest, and we're governed by a board, a general committee, that's made up of over 200 Quakers from around the United States. And they set the policies of the organization every few years, and immigration has been a policy priority for Fcnl, not just this year, but actually since its founding 75 years ago. So what I want to do is I just want to mention a little bit about why Quakers historically have cared about these issues and why we continue to care about them now, and why we're so glad to be working with you on them. I'll just say though, personally, before I talk about Quakers, I am part of a binational family. My kids are half Mexican, and one was born in Mexico as well, and my co-parent is an immigrant. So I just want to say thank you, because you're here on behalf of so many people, so many people. Quakers came to the United States as immigrants. In the late 1660s and 1700s, Quakers began coming to the United States seeking a better life, seeking freedom to express their religion and to build the communities that they wanted to be part of. They were persecuted for this in the United States as well as back in England. They were incarcerated, they were deported, they were hanged. They lived the experiences of immigrants and many of what some of you have expressed today. People are still living here. And that direct experience of friends is part of what grounds our witness on policy issues. We've worked historically on immigration because we believe in the human dignity of every individual. And we know from experience that a better community can be built when there are bridges, not walls, between peoples. Historically, Fcnl has worked on immigration since it was founded. And I went back and looked at some of the first statements of policy that this organization put forward. So back in the mid-40s, when there was another world war waged and massive populations moving around the globe. And one of the first legislative statements from Fcnl said the first and foremost need is to change our negative attitudes of fear, suspicion, and restrictiveness to a positive attitude of welcome toward immigrants, recognizing that while this country has much to offer them, it also has much to gain with them. I'm proud to be part of an organization that for so many years has believed in that and worked at the national policy level to turn that into policy. I'm even more proud to be part of an organization that has brought all of you here today and this weekend to continue this work at such an important time. I was part of Fcnl's Young Adult program myself, and I was also on staff when we had our first spring lobby weekend for young people. And we were so proud that we got about 25 people to Washington.
25.
So I can't tell you how wonderful it is to look at this enormous, powerful, diverse group here this weekend. Thank you for being part of that history. Quakers, we have testimonies. Some of you probably know these testimonies well. And Fcnl has a mission statement that really speaks to these testimonies. And I just want to talk about that for a minute to give you a sense of where our faith comes from on these issues and where our beliefs guide us in policy. We seek a world free of war and the threat of war. This is the first part of Fcnl's mission statement. And wars are driving the largest global refugee crisis the world has ever seen right now. Those wars are part of the root causes of why people are forced out of their homes and flee to other places seeking refuge. Fcnl works on those as part of our longstanding work as friends around our peace testimony and a belief that we can build a more peaceful and just world by addressing the root causes of violence. We seek a society with equity and justice for all. This is the second part of Fcnl's mission statement. And it speaks to Friends' belief in the equality of all people. That all people are born with dignity and with that of God, a piece of goodness and the divine in each of us. We seek a community where every person's potential may be fulfilled. I was blown away listening to this group express for Friends what we speak of when we talk about testimonies of integrity, of truth, and of community. You are embodying here with your work and with the community building you're doing and the witness that you bring forward, the courage of telling your stories, what we believe in as well. Thank you for doing that. As our bumper stickers say, and I hope you have some to take home, love thy neighbor, no exceptions.
Yeah.
That is the America we want. And finally, we seek an earth restored. Global climate change is not just impacting the environment, it's pushing people out of their homes. It's changing where people live and how they can find the resources to live. And issues of immigration are also related to issues of the environment. If a wall is built, as it's already being built, along our southern border, not just people, but entire ecosystems will be impacted and destroyed. These are the issues that Friends hold dear. These are our testimonies that drive us to work from a place of faith to change national policy. I asked Christine before I came in, what is it that you wanted me to say to folks? What do I have to offer? And she just said, you know, for me it's about what binds us. And I just want to say thank you for being here and showing us what binds us. I do believe that this is stronger than anything that's pushing to divide us right now in our country. Your hearts and your courage will change not only the people you impact, but they have the power to change the laws and policies of this country. I do believe that. And I just want to thank you on behalf of all of the Fcnl governors and friends around the country who are part of this work for being here and doing this. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Bridget. We are going to have a Q&A section now, so if any of you have any questions about anything that Bridget has said, then feel free to raise your hand and we'll get a mic Where are my mic runners? We've got Michelle over here in the green dress. And we've got Maya over here wearing a polka dot shirt. If any of you have any questions about FCNL in general, the work that we do, who we are. Oh, wonderful. And then you have someone else.
Sorry, I'm a little anxious. I'm actually coming on this trip because of a friend who had a dream that is probably sent from God. That had me to go, but I'm not really religious. So what advice would you give to somebody that really believes in your cause, but isn't necessarily religious, but really does want to make a difference and doesn't have anything against religion and really, really values the fact that you guys want to use it to help people? And I just want to make as much of an impact here as I can.
Thank you so much for that question, and thank you for having the courage to ask that question. FCNL works with people of all faiths and people of no faiths. We really do seek coalitions and communities to work with where we come from the same values and believe in the same change. So my advice is speak from your experience, speak from your heart. You're not here to speak as a Quaker organization. You're here to share your story and share your concerns and your advocacy. So that we're thrilled that you're here with us. Thank you.
So we've all identified that there are many problems, and people on both sides of the political spectrum can agree that there are problems. Well, what are some things like tangible policy solutions that FCNL is working towards to solve some or all or most of these problems?
I'm going to leave that. You're going to get a lot of training between now and, do you want someone to come up and answer that? I'm going to leave the FCNL staff experts to answer the questions about the training.
I'm definitely not a staff expert, but I will answer that question. Thank you, I really appreciate the vote of confidence. So we're going to go, that's a lot of what tomorrow's about, but if you look in your folders, there is a ask sheet that has specific legislation on it. Did you already look at it?
Okay.
Did you? Okay, well, if you find, where is Hannah Evans? That's Hannah Evans.
Talk to me with all of your questions, and I'm also going to talk to you for longer than you want tomorrow morning.
You will get all your questions answered by Hannah Evans, and if you do not,
if they're not answered then please do find me throughout the weekend, and I'm also happy that you guys are here.
Thank you.
That's good.
And I'll just say it's a great question because part of what FCNL's work is translating these big ideas, these values that we have into the practical policy of solutions. What right now before Congress is going to matter and make a difference, and can we have an impact on? So that's what you're going to be trained on tomorrow a lot. So you're sort of teeing everybody up for that. Thank you. Yeah.
So as FCNL is an organization that amplifies the voices of Quakers and Quaker allies to Congress, what are the ways that people in this room can get involved in the priority setting process for FCNL?
Look at you. Did someone plant that question? The priorities process is what some referred to a little bit, which is that every 2 years, FCNL goes through a process of consulting nationally with friends meetings, friends churches, and others who are involved with friends groups to help us set our priorities. What are the legislative priorities that we're going to be working on in the next Congress? So that process is underway right now. And if you're part of or connected with or want to be involved with a friend's church or meeting that's involved in that process, or also I think friends colleges and other groups sometimes get involved, you can go to the website and find out information there on the priorities process. And many Quaker meetings and churches right now in these months will be holding a session whereby they do a discernment together to listen to people's concerns. What are the priorities that you want FCNL to work on? And then those get sent up to our policy committee, and then our executive committee, and then our general committee to actually set the priorities that people want us to be working on. So please get involved in that. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is the distribution of
funding look like for Fcnl? So like who or what funds Fcnl and how?
In terms of where income comes from? Like where our funds come from? Or where they're spent?
Right. So like for instance, like I was able to come here on financial aid.
Yeah.
So, for example,
So Fcnl is really benefits hugely from individual contributions. So a larger percentage than many nonprofits actually of our income comes from individual contributions. We also receive income from Quaker churches and meetings. We receive income from grants. So there are some specific grants that support certain parts of the work. We do have some investment income, and what else am I missing? Oh, and endowment, yes. And our capital campaign, we just had a big capital campaign, which was very successful. It raised $17 million over the last few years. And a big portion of that, a dedicated portion of that, goes to the young adult program. It's dedicated for this kind of work. Diane's going to add.
Thank you for that question, because the fact is that there are hundreds and probably thousands of people who care very much that there is a cadre of young adults who are willing to get involved and get engaged in political action, and we actually talk to people who say, I can't go down to Washington lobby, but I am really willing to support somebody else who can. So you are actually helping fulfill people's dreams by doing this.
Okay, I've been told there's time for 2 more questions, and to please introduce yourself, who you are and where you're from. Yep, I see a hand over here. There's one more. There'll be time for one more. Right here. Okay, those will be the last 2.
I want to ask about the separation with church and state, basically, because
hello, my name is Louis Harris.
religious
I was
group
actually
and the
sent
word
here
lobbying
by
will
the
come.
Friends of San
So
Jose
I want to know if they
State,
ever get
so I
hate.
do thank for that. And so my main question is what is the priority of intersectional coalition building and addressing some of those priorities within the FCNL?
Thank you for that. Our priorities are based on legislative issues, so I wouldn't say there's a legislative priority on intersectional coalition building, but I will say that FCNL's work absolutely depends on, and there's a lot of dedicated effort in terms of working with coalitions, providing leadership for coalitions, but also now there's a large segment of work at the governance level, at the staff level, and in terms of how we work with coalitions related to diversity, equity, and inclusion as well. So we have a lot of work to do still, but I think we're trying, and I appreciate the question. Yeah.
Hello. So my name is Hunter, and this is a more broad question. So because we have the whole separation of church and state, or with church and lawmaking, and we're lobbying with a religious group in a way, don't you guys ever get, I guess, hate for it? Because I don't know the right words, but thank you.
Yeah, thank you. FCNL has actually always had very clear positions and lobbied for clear separation of church and state. So it actually goes back to Quaker history of why Quakers wanted to be able to exercise their own religion and not have it tied to the state, and that's carried over into FCNL having very clear positions that in terms of policy and laws in this country, we believe there should be a clear separation of church and state. But we also know, and we believe that people's faith drives them to the actions that they take in the world. And for Quakers, our faith grounds our witness with Congress. So we're not trying to convince anybody else of our religion and our religious beliefs, but we are saying we come to this work from this place of faith as Quakers and as friends. That's what we say. You should say what brings you to this work.
Thank you.
After this, I'd love to invite my friend Christine Ashley up to the stage for a second, but I'm going to give you some announcements before we go into a silent reflection. And thank you so much, Bridget, and thank you so much, Leona, for being part of this today. A few announcements. First, someone lost a ring. Oh no. If you lost a ring, please go to registration. We have it. So that's good. Good news. Some of you have asked me about something on the program that said that there is a public witness at the White House, and there is one. It's going to be us. It's going to be great. We're going to have a megaphone. Because we know, like, even if we pass a budget that includes things that we like, we need to get it signed by the person next door, and so we need to tell them what we think. And we didn't get invited in the White House, so we're going to stand outside and yell at them, but that'll be a fun time for everyone involved. You're all welcome to join us, and we will be guiding you for a short walk. We're actually right next door to the White House. That's one of the reasons why we're like, oh, if we're here, we should go there. So we will be congregating on the close-off part of Pennsylvania Avenue for a short public witness around 5:30, but we'll be leaving from here. So you, after our silent reflection, we will be leaving for the White House. It is optional, you do not have to come, but it'll be a lot of fun, and you should. The program tomorrow starts at 8:30 here. Breakfast starts at 8:30, I know. And then we have worship at 9, that is optional, but I'm leading it, so you should come, it's great. Please come. I'm reading an Oscar Romero poem. I just feel very much about this. So, please come. For people who are lobbying on Monday, raise your hand if you know you're lobbying on Monday. Okay, everyone who's raised their hand tomorrow at 4 p.m., you need to go to the White Room. We will talk about this throughout the weekend, but you need to get lobby training in order to do that. So, that is really important. Hostel International is having a live music performance from 6 to 7. Some of you are staying there, so you should go to that. That sounds like fun, unless it conflicts with our other plans, which it doesn't. Yay. And then at 7 p.m., Theo, where's Theo? Hi, Theo. Raise your hand. Hello. Theo, who is our legislative secretary on peace-building policy, is actually hosting an orientation for international students. So if you're an international student that wants to learn more about our international portfolio, or have some questions about like Congress, you should go. It's going to be at Hustle International at 7 p.m. And the address is 1009 11th Street Northwest at 7 p.m. That is tonight, and you should go. It's going to be fun. We would like to, I'm